here from the beginning, leisure has been earned.
Yes.
I haven't seen Tom from MySpace 3 times since he sold it. He is elated. Enjoy. You got to exit at the right time.
Yes, Sirski, exit at the right time, ladies.
You have to know when to leave the party.
You gotta know when to leave the party. Did you see that meme of Kevin Hart with Lotto and Usher?
Yeah, that was great.
I did, yeah. I asked Andy, what do you do in that situation? Just buy him a drink first?
Shut up,
When
man.
the introvert is ready to leave the party.
Mandy B said you was cat. She said you was all cat.
Shit. Put it in the comments if I booked you a flight.
Put it in the comments.
Oh, first quarter. No, not with first
The
quarter.
flight emoji.
We in the second quarter. Second quarter, we still running though, right?
Put it in the chat. I got $5 for somebody if you got some pictures with me. What's up?
Make sure.
The fuck on receipts. Understand on business, you know? Somebody.
Oh man.
You should just grab, listen, if Google and Meta cut back, I should buy a flight. Oh,
No, we all gotta come back.
we all got to cut back. Nope. Zuckerberg got that Meta AI going crazy for a reason.
I mean,
That would be conservative.
people are losing jobs, so that's the unfortunate part. But they are saying that the people who they let go can reapply for different positions within the company.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
When we talk about, let's get some education. Dividends, right? Can you explain? I've heard 2 people in the last couple of days talk about like they're dividend stock investors, or they want to invest in stocks that have dividends. Once again, for people that might be new to Market Mondays, we don't really talk about dividend stocks too much.
Yeah.
It's not an investment strategy that we've championed. What are dividend stocks, and why have we not necessarily talked about dividend stocks?
Dividends, think of it as if you're being paid a royalty for owning a stock. So in addition to having the shares, you get a certain percentage per year or per quarter as like an enticement or inducement to own the stock. I'm not a big fan of it because the best companies are going to give you those gains that you hoped for out of the dividend. Like AT&T used to be a great dividend player. They've fallen apart. And usually the bigger the dividend usually is reflective of a poor company. NVIDIA doesn't have to give you a huge dividend because they're going to print low end 30% year over year, pretty conservative. Apple, for a multi-trillion-dollar company, they're going to grow 10 to 15% a year so that they don't have to. Usually a company that's falling is going to pay you a higher dividend. You can look at the Dividend Kings list, the aristocrat list, but I would say move with a lot of caution and do your research first. It's not one of my favorite strategies. Companies that are really good are not going to pay you $5 per share to own it. If so, why would they just keep all the dividends for themselves? It's kind of like when artists are like, hey, buy this phone and you can own a part of my catalog. Notice it's never any of the hits. It's all the B-sides from mixtape from 2009, right? But everyone can choose to do what they want to do, but I like to have my gains baked in and safety baked in first before I look to have dividends. And, Apple pays a small one. The portfolio pays a smaller one, but if they're paying like $7 per share or $2, it's usually not a good company.
Yeah, and the other part is that you have to have some capital, right? Because you need to have a certain amount of shares to even make it make sense, right? But even, some people, like you said, $7 a share is obviously ridiculous. That's pretty high. Most times it may be $1 or $2, and that might be per share. So if you have 100 shares, then you may have made $100. It's to have the win baked in and investing directly into a company that's strong, it kind of outweighs it. Plus, we've seen companies take away their dividend, right? So that's another approach that we have to take into account, where it's like, all right, we didn't hit our quotas. That's why we always watch when the company, if they beat their earnings. Yeah, that's part of it. If they have revenue, all right, well, here's the cash flow that is left over. We're going to pay a dividend out. If they don't meet it, then they say, you know what, we're not doing dividends, and we're spending them, and they may never come back. So just, if you're going to take that approach, be mindful of all those things.
Yeah, and if the fee load is low on indexes or ETFs, the savings you can look at as a dividend. But like common companies people lean on, Verizon, Johnson & Johnson, Philip Morris, Altria Group, Comcast, Duke Energy, they're not best of breed companies. They're okay. But they aren't like top tier companies that are currently dominating the market. I think it was a great strategy in the 70s and 80s, but I don't think it's a strategy I will lean on as a primary one for sure. But if you have like $100 million sitting around, sure. But for the average investor, I don't think it's a wise decision to do so.
Well, speaking of Google, Meta last week announced a partnership with Google, AI partnership, and OpenAI. They're not just going to let OpenAI just run rampant. They're fighting back.
Yep.
Meta, Google,
Cyber wars. Oh my
partnership,
goodness,
AI
that
partnership,
sounds
right?
scary.
And this, I think, is in direct competition to OpenAI, and they realize that the issues that they're currently having. So that's interesting, right? To see two of the Magnificent Seven coming together and working together, right? You can take that in one or two ways. You can take that as they're trying to be innovative, or you can take it that they're actually scared. And this is
always going to be paranoid.
This is a sign of fear when you got to come together and try to fight OpenAI, but also this goes back to Microsoft, right?
Yep.
Microsoft's dominance. So, what's the thoughts on Meta teaming up with Google?
I think I want to just chime in real quick. I think Meta's going to get the best of that partnership. I think Zuckerberg learned a lot from that 2022 slide. People have to remember how young he is. He has another 25, 27 years of like pure dominance he can have in front of him. I think he learned to keep those overhead costs low. And if he can get this AI relationship to work well enough just to beat TikTok, let's not even look at OpenAI, but if it's just better than TikTok, better than YouTube, great. I find it interesting that Google is doing a partnership with him when you're still battling for market and mind share with Instagram. I think Zuckerberg is very smart, intelligent, sagacious, conniving. And he's going to get the best out of that partnership, and he's going to find a way to make sure that that ecosystem that he has is thriving. I've seen some of the things they deployed in WhatsApp. People don't talk about that asset enough, so I think they'll come out on top of that. But yeah, I think in times of recession or potential recession, partnership is needed. That's why when the U.S. is getting to it with China and BRICS is forming, all these shadow wars, it's not good for business.
Yeah, but I think it's important to talk about it in detail because it's like with Meta, it's a business lesson in this situation as well, right?
Absolutely.
Where, okay, they literally changed the name of their company to Meta. To invest $100 million, whatever they invested into the metaverse, and the stock crashes, and they abort mission on that, at least for the time being. They refocus on their core products, and they ramp it back up, and now Meta stock has skyrocketed.
Yep.
But now it's like, okay, let's try this again on a different iteration of AI. Right? And it's like, okay, last time we tried to jump into the metaverse by ourselves. We're a social media company. That probably wasn't the best way to go about it. Google has been the #1 search engine for the last 20 years. Google highly respected in the tech space. So if Meta could have just started their own AI branch, right? But it's like, okay, well, why not partner with leaders best in class? Learn from the previous mistake while still looking forward in the future. Because that's why I always say, like, you gotta be able to plan for the future while you're on top. Right? And it's like, okay, as opposed to just planning when you're already falling, now it's too late. So I think that it's worth highlighting because from a Meta standpoint, I think that is another savvy business move by Mark Zuckerberg. And